Hello, everyone. So, today we are going to talk about something very important in living things. But before we proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Julia May Bustillo, and I will be your teacher for today. And our topic today is the types of reproduction. And when we say reproduction, we mean the process of producing new organisms. And there are also two main types of that. We have asexual and sexual reproduction. And as we go along, let's try to think about how these two might be different from each other. Before we continue, let's have our learning goals. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate asexual and sexual reproduction, appreciate the importance of reproduction in the survival of living organisms, and perform a classification task by dragging and placing organisms into correct categories. So let's have a quick activity, and I want you to look at these organisms bacteria, starfish, human, and flowering plants and decide, do they belong to asexual or sexual reproduction? Drag and place them where you think they belong, and once done, just submit. Alright, so I've already received all your answers, and majority of the class actually get a correct answer. So let us of course reveal the answer. For the bacteria, it is asexual. So for those who answered asexual, that's correct. For the starfish, it is both asexual and sexual. For human, it is sexual reproduction. And in the flowering plant, it is both asexual and sexual. Now, of course, you got like questions in mind, but we will answer those things later on. For now, let's think deeper. How many parents are involved in each type? Which type produces identical offspring? And which produces different offspring? So keep these questions in mind as we move forward. Reproduction is one of the most important processes in biology. It allows living things to create new individuals and continue their species. So let's talk about the asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there is only one parent, and the offspring produced are exact copies of that parent, just like a photocopy. Since they are identical, there is very little variation. That's why, from the activity earlier, we had bacteria, starfish, and flowering plant, and they were all part of asexual reproduction. And if you were gonna ask me, why, ma'am, why they are part of the asexual reproduction, it's because, of course, the bacteria, it actually reproduces by splitting into two identical cells. And one bacterium grows, it copies the DNA, then divides into two. And for the starfish, it is also asexual because if a part like an arm breaks off, it can grow into a new starfish. And for the flowering plant, it can also be asexual because plants can grow new individuals from parts like stems, roots, or leaves. And of course, we have the other type, which is the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves two parents, and each parent contributes genetic material, resulting in offspring that are genetically unique. And this variation is important because it helps adapt and survive in changing environments. And we had our examples earlier that really match with this definition. It was the starfish, human, and flowering plant as well, because starfish can also be sexual reproduction because male and female starfish release sperm and eggs into the water, so which combine to form new offspring. So let's compare. So we have here the feature asexual reproduction and then the sexual reproduction. So for the number of parents, for the asexual there is only one, and of course for the sexual reproduction there are two. And then the genetic variation, identical to parent, that's under asexual, and then for sexual, mix from both parents. And when it comes to speed of reproduction, the asexual, it's fast, while the sexual, it's actually slower. And then, of course, the examples we've already mentioned that earlier. For the asexual, we have bacteria, and in the sexual reproduction, we have humans, flowers, dogs, and etc. And of course, we have to know the importance why we are tackling about this topic today, or what is the importance of reproduction, simply because it ensures the survival of living organisms. Without it, species would eventually disappear. It also allows genetic information to be passed from one generation to the next. So let's have a quick check. It says a cat gives birth to kittens. What type of reproduction is this? A, asexual, B, sexual. And as you can see, just click here to answer. I'll give you 10 seconds. Okay, so I have now your answers, and everybody got the correct answer. So I believe everybody have already learned from this topic, which is I am very much happy, and I think we're all good now. Again, this is teacher Julia May Bustillo, and that's it for today. Please take care and prepare for tomorrow's another lesson. Bye for now.